Hello everyone, welcome back to another Freedive UK TV extravaganza. What the hell was that?
I just entertain myself
like
all the
charades
time.
on your own. The last video we did was a brief overview of the Frenzel technique, which, as explained then, is you'll find lots of videos online talking about it, books explaining how to do it. It might have helped what I said in the last video. If it didn't, I'm sorry. There's plenty of other people out there giving different angles and explanations that might help you more. I like to keep it really simple with a Frenzel because the more you get into it, it starts to get overly complicated. That all being said, I'm now about to overcomplicate it. So the idea behind this video is kind of going through the reasons why the Frenzel doesn't work for some people and how to fix those problems. So this is actually probably going to be a more comprehensive video in a sense than the basic Frenzel one that we did earlier.
Yeah, hence he'll talk more.
Yeah, so Brett's here just for eye candy only.
There's a load of French models standing behind that camera right now.
Brett, just go away.
Leave me alone for a minute.
Yeah, just 5 minutes. Give him 5 minutes. The problems that people have with the Frenzel fall into a couple of categories. So basically, it's either that they've got poor glottis control, so the air moves up and down into the lungs too much, or that they have poor soft palate control, so the air is stopped before it goes into the nose at all. And then there's kind of like a combination of all of those things, and everything, and anxiety and stress and pressure and stuff all create a kind of perfect storm of things not working very well. So first of all, it's like you need to isolate your glottis, and you need to learn how to control it and keep it closed pretty much the whole time. So when you're doing the Frenzel, you really have it closed the majority of the time. The only time you open the glottis is a subconscious opening, more often than not, when you're reloading the mouth as you're going deeper. So as you go deeper and you start pressurizing with your tongue against your nose and into your ears, that air starts to minimize and shrink and compress. Eventually it essentially disappears. You have to get more from your lungs, okay? In between time, your glottis has to be closed, because if it's not closed, you're going to end up with air just leaking up and down into the lungs. So the first thing to do is to isolate the glottis and make sure you've got a good closure. So with a kind of an open mouth, what you need to do is just breathe out and just stop the air with a wide open mouth. Okay, just like that. Okay, and you can kind of scratch it out a bit as well. You can do the kind of in the throat. Okay, zombie sounds. Yeah. That's the glottis half closed, allowing a little bit of air in and out. That has to stay closed the whole time. If you don't, you end up with this kind of like just moving stuff around your mouth and nothing really works. Now the soft palate needs to be neutral. So the soft palate is this little flap of skin that basically divides your mouth from your nose, and it has to remain neutral. If it doesn't and closes, it will feel like the air is going nowhere, and you get a very distinctive the failure difference, the feeling is very different. So with the open glottis, it feels like you're just moving your tongue around your mouth and nothing's happening. With the soft palate, you might feel like you're creating more pressure in your mouth, but it's not going to where it needs to go. So you have to make sure that you have this neutral soft palate. Now, one thing you can do is learn about the feeling of the soft palate by blowing out of your mouth and then seamlessly on the same breath then blowing out of your nose afterwards, and you'll feel, or vice versa, and you'll feel the soft palate kind of clunk, like clunk into position back and forth. So if I blow out my mouth and then out my nose in the same breath, I can feel in the back of my throat something just engage. Okay, now the problem is with people when they're learning the Frenzel is that so much is happening in your mouth that your brain, because it's what isn't wired right yet, your brain thinks you're trying to blow out of your mouth. You're trying to do something there, and that's why your soft palate closes, because your mouth and your brain is going blow. It's going, and when you blow, your soft palate is closed. So when you're going tongue, this, blah, 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 in the back, and then doing these things you're learning, your brain is going, they're trying to blow, so I'm going to close the soft palate. And that's not what you want it to do. You want it to keep it neutral. So that all being said, there's an exercise that we go through with students who struggle. And the irony of this is that it's in fact a very advanced equalizing technique. And the technique's called the mouthful technique. And we might do a video on this another day. The mouthful technique, when used as a learning aid to teach the Frenzel, is incredibly useful, because the mouthful technique forces the student to learn the different positions of the tongue, the soft palate and the closed glottis. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go through the latter two phases of the mouthful technique. The mouthful technique is basically broken down into 3 phases, but the useful ones for us will be the last 2 phases of the mouthful technique, and it hopefully should allow you to learn the right position and engage the right muscles and put the pressure where you need it for the Frenzel to be working properly. So the first thing I want you guys to do at home is pinch your nose. Actually, Brett, you do this as well, right? So pinch your nose, okay, and what I want you to do is blow into full cheeks and into your nose at the same time. So you're like this. Okay, right, stop. Now you should feel, when you do that, pressure in your nose, pressure in your cheeks with the big fat cheeks, and pressure in your ears, yeah? So what's that's doing, it's telling us one thing. It's telling us that our soft palate is neutral, okay? And actually it's the process of having the relaxed cheeks with the nose pinched first. In the last video, I mentioned how you need to pinch your nose before you do any equalizing, which means that the soft palate will remain open. So you pinch the nose and blow. Now hopefully you're feeling at home pressure in your ears, just slight, a little pop, big fat cheeks like Satchmo, and an inflated nostril zone. Yep?
Totally.
Totally. So this is like the first phase of the mouthful. Now the next thing I want you to do, once you've filled up your big head balloon, I want you to then close that glottis. All right? So I want you to engage the huh that we did earlier, the huh, but you close that without having to do the huh. You just make it close after you've filled up your head. So you've now sealed the balloon that is your head. All right? So it's pinch, blow, seal. Okay? So you've then created this big head balloon of pressure. What that's now doing, we're now learning glottis control and soft palate control in the same time. The next thing to do, and this is where it relates to the mouthful technique, is that what I want you to do is to actually bring your cheeks inwards. At the same time, so you don't over pressurize your ears, I want you to allow, through gently releasing some of the pinch from your nose, a bit of that air to come out of your nose. Now, when you're actually diving and you're equalizing and stuff, we always do a solid pinch to stop the air bubbling out, unless we're trying to equalize our mask. But for the purposes of not popping your ears on dry land, we're going to do a slowly release that pressure on your nose. And what we should get is a little puff of air slowly making its way out as we bring our cheeks in. Okay, so like this. Okay, hopefully you've heard that on the mic that's just here. Okay, now that pressure, you getting that? That squeeze of air is only possible because I've closed my glottis, I've half closed my nose, and I've brought my cheeks in. And in a sense, that is the Frenzel. In a sense, you know, you are closing this and you're compressing the airspace in your mouth to over pressurize your nose and your ears. Okay, but then we're going to go through what is basically the final stage in the mouthful technique to really hone in on the actual Frenzel technique, which is the tongue action. I felt like you were going to jump in when I said tongue action. You wanted to. And then we're going to push our tongue to the roof of our mouth. We're going to push our tongue to the roof of our mouth rather than just the cheeks. So we can do the cheeks first, get rid of the air that's filling our big fat cheeks, keep the glottis closed, and then what I want you to do is, just like we explained in the previous video about the Frenzel, I want you to push the tongue up, compressing that last bit of air in your mouth until there's no air left in your mouth at all. So if I do the 2 phases, you should hear, as I do my half pinch, 2 distinct puffs of air come out of my nose, which are signifying the 2 maneuvers, the cheeks going in and then the tongue going up. So, okay, did you hear that?
I definitely heard it.
Okay, so
very well done.
Hopefully they should hear that as well. So, okay, so to do that, everything's got to be in the right position. We have to have a closed glottis. We have to have an open soft palate. And we have to be using the muscles that we need to use properly, okay? So if you've been struggling with the Frenzel, well, I'd like you to just rewind the video and go back through what we've just discussed, to fill your head up, to do the little cheek puff, to close the glottis, to squeeze, do the 2 phases, and you're just gonna work through that. A final thing that we're gonna do is a little balloon test, and many of my students and many other freediving students will have been stuck doing this at some point. What you want to do is you want to fill a balloon up, a regular old party balloon, fill it up, and then allow the air, put it against your lips and allow the air to escape out of your nose. And this teaches you, again, keeping your glottis closed because it's not going to go into your lungs, and allowing it to flow out of a neutral soft palate, thereby out of your nose. So, these might pop.
Was bigger than mine.
I was secretly competing.
I was secretly competing with you. I thought I had you, and then I was like, damn, and I lost it. My ears popped.
Yeah. So I put it against. So I'm going to close my glottis, and I'm going to let this air come straight out of my nose. So I'm not sucking into my lungs, right? Magic. There we go. See? Nice one steady flow, and it's just coming straight out the nose. If you want to make it really difficult for yourself, do it on empty lungs, and that really forces you to control the palate and stuff. So you can do it after your big blow. Oh God, right. Not so bad at blowing up a balloon. Okay, so empty lungs. So there you go. That's the balloon trick. And it... There we go. You can actually hear Brett's soft palate snorting there. That's quite interesting. He's not a well man today.
I'm not actually.
He's got a bug. So
oh dear.
the idea is that the...
I'm trying to act normal for camera.
Yeah. So the...
Oh dear.
Again, I'm not going to go over it all again. That's the beauty of rewind on YouTube. Is that you can go back. Right, mate. Go back and have a little look. So we just talked through that idea of creating those air spaces and pushing through. And if you can learn all of those things and then kind of apply it to the Frenzel, you've got it. Yeah. That's it. You've got it. Okay. This. Yeah. All of those things. It's all part of the same kind of thing. And eventually it will all start fitting together.
You just feel them again.
Yeah. You're learning to find these points that are more often than not, they're not unused in daily life, but they're just not felt.
Yeah.
You don't feel the use of your glottis.
Once they become subconscious, that's it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And then that's it. You're just doing it. And then, although you're struggling with the Frenzel right now, I imagine, because you're watching this video, I promise you, if you keep practicing and doing these little drills, it won't be long.
Yeah.
It won't be long, and it will click like that. It will be just a moment where you're just like, I've got it.
Yep.
And then from then on in, it's like riding a bike. You'll never forget it. You will absolutely get it.
Making me
every time.
breathe.
Yeah, right. We should finish this before Brett passes out. So thanks very much for watching. If there's anything within this video that you'd want going over again, a bit more explanation, there's a chance we could do another one going over.
We could review throat lozenges, strepsils.
Right, you could do a
know.
serious review on strepsils and throat lozenges that might help Brett next time. But yeah, seriously, put it in the comments section below. Any little questions about what we've talked about, we will be happy to answer them in the comments. Again, we're not the only source for Frenzel learning on YouTube. There are some great people out there with their own explanation of it. Go check them all out, and hopefully the combination of all of our collective knowledge will give you what you need to move forwards. But
with a little bit of entertaining.
And a tiny bit of entertainment watching Brett die slowly.
Or the little bit of black balloon competition.
The black balloon competition.
Wasn't too bad.
It's all right for an ill man.
Yes.
So hopefully we will both see you again next time. In the meantime, practice your Frenzeling and dive safe. See you guys. Bye.
See you later.